This episode brought to you in part by Thrive Fantasy, available in the App Store, Play Store, or by visiting their website, thrivefantasy.com. Use the promo code FINADDICTS when you sign up today, and you will receive an instant $20 bonus on your first deposit of $20 or more. Sign up and hashtag prop up today.
Welcome to Perfectville, your first place podcast for your third place Miami Dolphins. I am Sam Marcoux, and he is the two-time Hall of Famer. Of course, I'm talking about my brother from another mother, Mr. Christopher Cullen. Chris, how in the hell are you, my friend?
Well, what better time to crack open a victory beer than right here with you, my friend? Yes, I'm doing well. We have a win on the board. We played well on national TV on the road, Sam.
Yes.
So I'm doing better than well.
I think we're both doing better than well, and here's why. Not only did the Miami Dolphins wax that ass on the Jacksonville Jaguars last Thursday, which we're going to talk all about and then some, but there's some other things going on in the world of sports, Chris, that are affecting you and I in a positive way for the first time in fucking ever. Let's just see here. The Miami Marlins, for the first time since 2003, are in the Major League Baseball playoffs. Congratulations to you and your Marlins.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, it's been since 2003. I was 16 years old.
Wow, I was, I think, 52. The Los Angeles Dodgers, my baseball team, are in the playoffs again. And not only are they in the playoffs again, they have the top seed in all of baseball because they killed everybody during this condensed COVID regular season. So the Dodgers are in the playoffs. The Marlins are in the playoffs. And then let's just talk about basketball for 1 minute, Chris, because you are, if I'm not mistaken, a huge Miami Heat fan. Are you not?
Oh, absolutely. 2 minutes. Dos minutos.
I don't know what that means. That's probably a reference for Miami Heat fans everywhere. I like an actual basketball team called the Los Angeles Lakers. And the Los Angeles Lakers with LeBron James, who's been a Laker, I think, for about 25 years straight now, if I'm not mistaken, never played for any other franchise in the history of the NBA other than my beloved Lakers, are in the NBA Finals against your dirty, disgusting Miami Heat Dwayne Wades.
Wow. The Dwayne Wades, I wouldn't mind that. I think Spoelstra and the Godfather, Pat Riley, wouldn't mind that. This has been an amazing playoff run for my Miami Heat. The first 5 seed ever, I think, in the finals. Completely swept the Pacers, made the Bucks, who had a better overall seed than your stinky Lakers, by the way, look horrible, 4-1, with MVP just going home in flames. And then we beat a very tough Boston Celtics team, and we're coming for the LA Lakers, and it's going to be a fun one because you like the Lakers and I like the Heat, and we host a show together. So we have so many different things going on. It's unbelievable. And by the way, the Marlins won today, game 1 against the Cubs, convincingly 5-1.
Well, good. They always beat the Cubs in that situation, do they not? I mean, the Cubs always somehow blow it against the Miami Marlins.
So, Sam, I know we're expecting a short show, but really, this is amazing. 2003 playoffs. We are down. They have to win one of 2 games, Game 6, Game 7, okay? Mark Pryor, Kerry Wood are Game 6 and Game 7 pitchers, out of respect. Out of 162 games, obviously they don't play every game. The Cubs did not lose back-to-back when Mark Pryor and Kerry Wood pitched back-to-back during the regular season. 162 games, obviously every 5 games. Never lost. So even if they lost Game 6, whatever's in the bag. Bartman, Game 6. Game 7, Kerry Wood hits a home run. He hit a home run. The place is going crazy. Fans are throwing beer in the air. They had a huge lead. Marlins come back again and win in Wrigley. Game 7, win the game. There's this image of an old lady, Sam. It's so sad because, at this point they hadn't won yet. So it's been since, 1908 or whatever, they haven't won. This old lady, I don't know what happened, if they got in a fight, they got kicked out, is sitting in a wheelchair, and she's wearing a Cubbies hat, and she has a Harry Carey sticker or bandana or whatever. And she's just sobbing as we run onto the quietest field in history. And all you hear is, woo, from Derek Lee and Pudge and Josh Beckett. They're all running out screaming. And all these fans are just sad, and this lady is sobbing in a wheelchair, probably 95 years old, never seen him win a championship. Could you imagine never seeing your team? Let's
not go there. Look, we got a lot of positive momentum right now, Chris. Don't bring up the bad stuff. This is the week that we get to celebrate because let's just forget about the NBA Finals. The reason why you and I are recording this right now is it's right before Game 1 because we're going to hate each other for the next 6 to 7 games between the NBA Miami Heat and LA Lakers. But also, this happens to be National Podcast Day. I don't know if you know that, but this is our actual holiday here. And since we are the podfathers of Miami Dolphins podcasts everywhere, it's only appropriate appropriate that you and I, Chris Cullen, Sam Marcoux, would be broadcasting, podcasting, recording right now, talking about the Miami Dolphins whooping that ass of that stupid Gardner Minshew and the rest of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Let's take a trip back to last Thursday, Chris. The Miami Dolphins win 31-13. And guess what? I've said this now 3 weeks in a row. It wasn't even that close. We actually just took the second half off for the most part of this game. 31-13, the reverse score. The Miami Dolphins kill their in-state rival Jacksonville Jaguars. Tell me how you felt in the moment. How do you feel about the team right now?
We needed it, Sam. We needed that so bad. It was one of those things where you have a good draft, you have a good offseason, we're excited, boom, you start 0-2. COVID going on, everything like that. We needed a national TV game where all eyes were on us. Everyone picked the Jaguars to win, and we needed that festival of winning because it started from the first drive where we kicked off, we held them to a punt, we drove down and scored. I mean, like a long, even my wife mentioned, she's like, wow, that was a great drive, like 8 minutes off the clock, not a field goal. I mentioned it on the show last week. We need to get in the end zone. We did. And it just felt like we were in control of the entire game. And man, we're not used to that feeling, but it was a good one. I loved it. Sam, how about you?
I think it was the best first half the Miami Dolphins have had in a very long time. They scored on their first 3 opening possessions to put up 21 points against Jacksonville. And granted, Jacksonville is the youngest team in the league. We're number 2, though. So it's like they're pretty close in terms of the amount of years played in the NFL. But you can see a marked difference between where Jacksonville is and where Miami is. We're just a better team. Talent-wise, we had a better game plan, and we executed that game plan across many, many facets, especially in particular on offense. But watching this team, seeing the Miami Dolphins go down and score 21 straight points, 3 possessions, 3 touchdowns was unbelievable. I can't remember the last time that we did that, quite frankly. And after that, we're actually able to ease up and just kind of coast through the rest of the game, make sure we didn't have any major injuries because Jacksonville was inept. Now, part of this, the reason why it was so bad is that Jacksonville had some injuries. Jacksonville missed some plays that were out there. But guess what? We kind of just stopped the second half, Chris. If we really wanted to, I think we would have dropped 45 on them. I mean, we were that much better than them that game. And really, all we had to prove was the first half. And then, of course, the second half was And then after that, of course, the main event, Ryan Fitzpatrick being interviewed on national TV in Miami Dolphins gray sweatpants and a Hawaii 5-0, half down, chest hair out, Hawaiian purple magic dragon t-shirt, or not t-shirt, but Hawaiian shirt. And of course, in all of his bearded glory out there, just making all the women swoon, making all the men wish they were him. Just an amazing Thursday night experience. And it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen on national TV anymore. It doesn't happen on Thursdays anymore. It doesn't happen when you're a road team on Thursdays, but somehow the Miami Dolphins overcame all of that and gave all Dolph fans everywhere, citizens of Perfectville everywhere, something to write home about.
Yeah, it was beautiful. It was a thing of beauty. And I'm going to be completely honest with you. Ryan Fitzpatrick is the sexiest man in the NFL.
I would date him.
Mm-hmm. Yep. You said Ben wanted to be him. I wanted to be with him. I wanted to be on his arm. I want to be his wife.
You want to know something that's crazy about this here, Chris, is that I actually looked into how to buy that shirt because I wanted that shirt. I want to be Ryan Fitzpatrick for Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's Eve. That shirt is sold out. He sold that shirt out. The very next day, that shirt is out of production, and they sold it out everywhere. I looked. I tried to be Ryan Fitzpatrick, and they wouldn't let me. The internet wouldn't let me. So that's the power of Fitzmagic. When he is on, he is on. And he's even out selling shirts for, Banana Republic or whoever it is that made that shirt.
I hope it was like Panama Jack or something. When was the last time you heard of that?
But I never have. I don't even know what that is. That's
Banana
like
boat.
It might as well be Biscuitville.
Biscuitville. What a callback there.
That is a callback.
That's a great callback. So Sam, yeah, seriously, he's that company needs to reach out to him for advertising and just like put him on every goddamn magazine cover that they have one, or on the cover of their website. Just make him the model of Banana Boat, Banana Republic, whatever it is. And Sam, speaking of that and advertising, I noticed your shirt.
Yes.
And I noticed your mustache. We beat Gardner Minshew. The mustache lost, beard trumped mustache. So you should, I would shave it on air. That'd be fun. We're video now.
If you look at this, I'm really up close and personal for all of you watching on video, which by the way, I should probably talk into the microphone if I'm going to be a professional. But if you look up real close, you'll see that I am still rocking Minshew Mania here, but I do have my Manscaped Lawnmower 3.0 fully charged. You can hear it right there on air. I've got this thing on. And Chris, I would take you up on your offer to shave this disgusting piece of mustache off my face right here live on Perfectville, part of the Fanatics Network. But the problem is I actually used my lawnmower 3.0 on my balls last night, and I have not washed this. I have not sterilized this, and my balls are gross. They're much better now that I've used Manscaped on them, but I don't think I should be using this on air on my face. That's gross. That's like a cross-pollination of a bumblebee and a hornet. You don't want to make that magic happen. Although some people out there would probably like to see me do it. I'm not going to do it, but appreciate Manscaped for all the cool swag, the t-shirt, the lawnmower 3.0, the newspaper, like you alluded to on the last episode of Perfectville. Everything they have going on is just amazing. So Manscaped, great product. Go get it today.
Yeah, don't shit where you eat, right? But to be honest, Minshew and, of course, Fitzpatrick, they do it. You're a coward.
I am a coward, but you know what? I am not as cool as Gardner Minshew. I'm certainly not as cool as Ryan Fitzpatrick. And I wanted to ask you this question, Chris. We take the good, we take the bad, like we talked about with Ryan Fitzpatrick. Is he the most popular quarterback in Miami Dolphins history since Dan Marino? I can't think of another guy who can go out and throw pick sixes, throw interceptions, fumble, and lose games, and everyone still just goes, that's our guy. But he somehow has that sort of formula where he just can't do any wrong, especially here with the Miami Dolphins. Is he the most popular quarterback since Dan Marino?
When thinking about this, when I saw it on the show sheet, I was like, no way. Like Tannehill was like really liked. But then I thought about it, the way you worded it. You said most loved, most loved. And I think Ryan Tannehill is the most polarizing.
Sure.
He was just he could do no wrong on one side, and then he was just blamed for everything on the other. It was literally like Republicans and Democrats. It was just once you went on that one side, no matter what he did, if it looked good, it's because he caught a lot of good balls. The receivers bailed him out. Those excuses. Most loved. Yeah, since Marino, absolutely. Jay Fiedler had some loved moments. Pennington had some loved moments. He took us to the playoffs. I'd say Pennington's probably number 2 behind Fitzpatrick. But absolutely, you go on social media, you go on the national media, you go on other teams' players, and the other teams' fans love this guy. Like everybody does. Like he came out in Tampa with that fucking swag, with the chest hair, the necklace, the sunglasses inside, chewing gum aggressively with an open mouth, which can only be pulled off by somebody as fucking sweet as that. Because if any nerd tries to do it, you're like, close your mouth, asshole. But him, you're like, yeah, he fucking makes chewing gum look cool. And who does that? Ryan Fitzpatrick does that. He has Fitz Magic as a nickname. Sam, he is absolutely the most loved quarterback since Dan Marino.
I think you're right. And the only ones that can give him any run for his money, I think, are Chad Pennington, or is Chad Pennington, because he did take us to the playoffs, and because of how Chad Pennington was excommunicated by the New York Jets for Brett Favre and then coming back and beating them at the end of the season to get to the playoffs. Was just an amazing storyline for the Miami Dolphins fans everywhere. And Chad Pennington was really the last guy that I think was universally loved up until his arm fell off the next season. Ryan Tannehill had a lot of great small moments, has maybe the most talented quarterback since Dan Marino for the Dolphins, dare I say. But you're right, very polarizing, and he could do no right or he could do no wrong. Now that he's gone to Tennessee, he can't do any wrong, apparently. Just undefeated and killing teams, one of the highest rated quarterbacks since he actually came in relief of Marcus Mariota last season. Hats off to Ryan Tannehill. But Ryan Fitzpatrick, everyone loves Tua. Everyone's ready for Tua. Ryan Fitzpatrick is ready for Tua whenever that day happens. But he keeps playing the way he's playing. He keeps being that leader and that dude for the Miami Dolphins. That day's going to happen later and later and later. I thought Tua would play Thursday night against Jacksonville. I was dead wrong. I was right about everything else, but I was dead wrong about that. But I'm okay with being wrong on that, because Ryan Fitzpatrick is the man and everyone loves him. Look, he came out this week, Chris, this very week, after beating Jacksonville Jaguars and losing to Buffalo Bills the week before. And somebody asked him what his favorite football town was. And he said, I'm going to get in trouble for this, but I'm not going to lie. Buffalo's my favorite football town. That's the starting quarterback for the Miami Dolphins saying that the biggest rival, Buffalo Bills, is his favorite favorite football town. And I ain't even mad about it. I don't care. I'm like, just keep growing your facial hair, keep wearing those fucking crazy outfits, and start throwing touchdown bombs to Devontae Parker, Jakeem Grant, and Mike Gesicki. And I am totally fine with you talking about how New England, New York, and Buffalo are amazing. I don't care. He can't do any wrong with me for some reason, and I'm not alone. He's just got this X factor, sorry, Xavier, where he can't do any wrong, and it's amazing. It's amazing to see. He's just got some crazy charisma.
Well, and it's the charisma, but it's also the way he plays on the football field. Like, you watch that as a fan or even as a teammate, and he's like literally running guys over. When he scored his touchdown in the second half of the Jacksonville game, the guy swarmed him. Like he didn't get to jump up, and a couple guys patted his helmet, said good job. Like they laid on him on the ground. Like they call Devontae Parker Unc and Uncle. Like Ryan Fitzpatrick is like, he's grandpa, he's dad. He's daddy. Like they like go in the locker and probably sit on his lap and ask him advice. Like how was it during World War II? Like, was Vietnam really as bad as it was? What was it like, like coming back from war, dad? Like that's Ryan Fitzpatrick. And he probably has a corncob pipe in the locker room. And he's one of the most favorite guys in the locker room, on the field. And he's beloved by the fans, and you can't hate him for it, like you said. And the way he plays just makes it impossible. Like he'll throw a couple picks, yeah, but he also go truck the fucking safety, and then he'll get up and go and do some Super Saiyan shit. Like that's gonna make you forget about that. Like he's crazy. And yeah, Ryan Fitzpatrick, for you, buddy. Beer 2, that's for you. Cheers.
Well, Chris Cullen is on to beer number 2, and as you said, I can't hate Ryan Fitzpatrick. You're right, but I can hate you because you're talking about how old he is. Ryan Fitzpatrick is 1 month younger than I am. So
Compared to our team, it's not you. It's you, but you'll forget it tomorrow, old man.
Well, it might be me, but I do have to take a look at this team here, Chris, and I think he is the straw that stirs the drink here. But it wasn't just him. This was a team effort, in particular on offense. I don't really think we had too many mistakes on offense. The offensive line looks good for the third week in a row. They look very solid, and we have 2 rookies. I cannot stress this enough. We have 2 rookies. We have Austin Jackson at left tackle and big man beast Solomon Kinley at right guard, who just likes to eat people apparently in the middle of the game. We have 2 rookies on the offensive line who are not only keeping Ryan Fitzpatrick clean, but giving him time, giving our running backs on some level, whether it's Myles Gaskin or anybody else, a little bit of a crease to go make enough effective yardage to keep everyone honest. I can't remember the last time that unit looked as well as it has. Mike Gesicki is on another planet. He's got 7 touchdowns over the last 9 games, which is good enough for anybody in the league, let alone a Miami Dolphins, receiver / tight end. And then, of course, you have Devontae Parker and the rest of those guys on the wide receiving core out there doing what they do best. But looking at this, we drafted Tua. He's going to play at some point. Noah Igbinoghene, drafted in the first round. He's starting for the Miami Dolphins on defense. Austin Jackson, left tackle starter, we already mentioned. Solomon Kinley, right guard tackle. Those are 4 impact players already that we've identified after 3 games here, Chris. I know it's early. It's extremely early, but I'm going to make a statement / question. Could this be the best rookie class the Miami Dolphins have ever drafted in terms of their immediate impact and possible long-term effect on this team?
Without looking it up and researching it, I can't think of a top to bottom class that actually has so much talent and that is involved so much with our team. Also, if you think about it, just the core of what we've been asking for, Sam, and what we want, that offensive line, man. We've been talking about that since episode 1 of Welcome to Perfectville, and it's been different coaches, it's been different players, it's been different drafts, it's been different free agency periods, it's been different everything. And it's never been fixed. And here we go. We draft Austin Jackson, who, by the way, is making it a lot easier and nicer getting rid of Laramie Tunsil when they're 0-3 and we have their first and second round pick still to come, and he's playing his ass off. So that right there, that's that's when you put in $10 on the poker table and win 100. You're like, I'm fucking betting it, and then I'm winning big time. If he can stay this player that we want, even we've said it before, Sam. It's just 75% as good as Laramie Tunsil. We won that trade so much.
Absolutely.
And then we still have their picks next year. And if you add in Tua and what he is, hopefully, knock on wood. It's real wood, by the way. Dad made it. Shout out, Dad. Larry Longo, Lloyd, whatever your name is. Tua stays healthy, Sam. You're adding this already productive team, and here we are. We're actually showing that we have a line that can protect him and give him time to throw and keep him upright. Absolutely, I think this could be arguably the best draft class, as early as it is and as helpful as they are in the future, looking out, that the Miami Dolphins ever had.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at, Dan Marino is in a class by himself. That draft was probably the best draft ever just because of who Dan Marino turned out to be. It's just a one draft pick at that point, and you're good to go. But Zach Thomas was drafted in 1996 along with Daryl Gardner. That's a pretty good draft. You get those two players. 1997, Jason Taylor, Sam Madison. That right there is probably the best single haul for any draft I've ever seen in terms of Sam Madison, who should be a Hall of Famer, and Jason Taylor, who is a Hall of Famer. And then 98 was Patrick Surtain. So that defense, that vaunted defense that we talk about in the early 2000s was actually built around those four players, Zach Thomas, Jason Taylor, Patrick Surtain, and Sam Madison. That took 3 drafts to get those 4 players. We're talking about impact players that are starting since day one on the offensive line, probably the most critical piece that we have not been able to solve for the last 20 some odd years in a consistent manner. You have 2 solid pieces on rookie contracts that are just going to get better. I mean, Austin Jackson was like the 5th left tackle off the board in this year's draft at number 18 overall. People had a lot of questions about him. All those questions have been answered at this point. And Solomon Kinley, nobody knew who Solomon Kinley was. They thought he was Solomon Grundy from Batman, the bad guy from Batman. Nobody knew who Solomon Kinley was except for Chris Greer and his staff. Yeah, and that's it. And he's out there just mollywhopping fools left, right, and everywhere. And we have another road grader that's our backup that's going to be a starter at some point as well from this year's draft. I mean, it's insane what they did, but their plan was to get these people to protect Tua long term, and it looks like it's going to work out. And if Noah can recover and learn from a very hard on the job lesson here early in his career, we now have another cornerback to go with Byron Jones and Xavier Howard that really shores up that defensive backfield. I'm excited, not just this season, not just this week, but just in general. The early returns, Chris, are nothing but positive when you look at this rookie class for the Miami Dolphins.
Well, and you think about the safety we got from Texas too that started with 10 tackle Brandon Jones.
There you go. Stupid me, Brandon Jones. My apologies.
Brandon Jones. 10 tackles week 1. He's starting in Brian Flores' defense as a goddamn rookie. I mean, you're talking about an unbelievable task to do. And then I'm going to sprinkle in 2 names too that have yet to really do much for us, but could be sleepers that I will count as this draft. Of course, one is Malcolm Perry, who's been inactive and is a little surprise for folks, but maybe he's just still learning the intricacies of the game. You got to think about it. He was a quarterback in a wing T offense, like learning how to actually learn zone defenses of the NFL and stuff is a whole different ball game. And then a guy named Bowden that we traded for.
Lynn Bowden Jr., yes.
Lynn Bowden Jr., because he's been active 1 game, and I saw him on the field wearing Albert Wilson's 15, looked pretty good.
That threw me off. I was like, what the heck is Albert Wilson doing out there? But it was Lynn Bowden Jr., yeah.
Yeah, Wilson came back and he grew dreads. That's weird. What is he be doing in quarantine? But if you look at his highlights in Kentucky, this kid could fly. He's unbelievable. So considering we traded a draft pick next year for him, the pick we got for Raekwon McMillan, but he was a 2020 draft pick. I'm going to count him too. If those guys hit, even one of the 2 hit with everything else we already talked about, hell yeah.
Of course, yeah, you're absolutely right. I forgot about them. Stupid me. Shout out to those guys as well. And of course, the one rookie that has been a starter as well and has made a huge impact, probably the reason why we won that game. That would be, of course, Mr. Blake Ferguson, long snapper. By the way, shout out to Tabor Pepper, our good friend Tabor Pepper, just signed with the San Francisco 49ers there, Chris. So I reached out to Tabor and said, congratulations on your new gig as a long snapper for the San Francisco 49ers. And I said, if you could just do us a favor and maybe just loft one over the punter's head next week when we play them in week 5. We're going to talk all about that game next week on Perfectville. We're going to talk about the Seattle Seahawks and Miami Dolphins tilt later on in this show. Just putting a pin in this Jacksonville Jaguars win that we had here, Chris. The Miami Dolphins are averaging a little over 23 points per game through 3 games. That is much better than where we were last year, where I think through 5 games we scored a total of 23 points. But I really think this team has to be above 25 points a game in order to have, really a chance in most of these games. And part of that is because the defense isn't quite ready for prime time. The offense looks like it's good. It looks like it's going to be a threat week in and week out. But what are your thoughts on the defense? Yes, we only gave up 13 points to Jacksonville, but there were some opportunities for Jacksonville to put more points on the board, and they didn't do it. So what are your thoughts right now through 3 weeks when it comes to the Miami Dolphins defense?
A lot of growing pains from new guys playing together, young guys as well. Everybody said before the season started that COVID's going to, you said it too, especially this season's going to bode well in early beginnings for teams that are very veteran heavy, that have played together, that have practiced together, that maybe wouldn't have benefited as much from a preseason, from more practices, things like that, less Zoom meetings. A young team as ours, like you said, we're the 2nd youngest team in the NFL, which came out and just walloped the number 1 youngest team, which honestly, probably if we don't have Ryan Fitzpatrick, we're number one.
It's not even close. Yeah, actually, after week 2, just to put it in perspective, there was like a roster change for Miami and Jacksonville between week 1 and week 2, and Miami became technically the youngest team with their roster, and then it went back to Jacksonville for week 3. So yes, if Ryan Fitzpatrick isn't there, the Miami Dolphins by far have the youngest roster in all of the NFL.
Yeah, so if we like cut an infant right now, we'd probably be number 1 youngest team. But I mean, really, yeah. So like, there's gonna be growing pains.
For all the sponsors out there, he meant waive, like release them from a contract, not actually cutting babies, just for the record. And you wouldn't cut a baby if you had Manscaped, because there's no nicks, there's no cutting, there's nothing whatsoever. Shout out to Manscaped.
I can't even talk because I'm just picturing Chris Greer with a samurai sword, and they have like an infant in the air, like a White Walker or something. Oh man!
Like what is it, Fruit Ninja? They're just throwing babies up and making sure that they're cutting the right baby.
We just turned the show from like PG-13 to straight on Deadpool NC-17. Like, this is bad. Reverting back though, we're a young team, and we didn't get to take advantage of any kind of a preseason. We didn't get to take advantage of any kind of practice time where guys are really getting out there and getting looks. A lot of things, like there's a broken play that Gardner Minshew, thank God he missed that throw, that Noah I just seemed to like completely get caught looking at in the backfield, and the guy goes past him deep, and all of a sudden, the guy's wide open, and Gardner misses him, thank goodness. But those kind of things usually happen in a preseason game. They get cleaned up, and it doesn't happen in the regular season. So I'll give them a pass. They're young. They're still gelling together with guys like Van Noy and Shaq Lawson. But the best thing about our defense, it's going this way. It's going up.
It's going up.
So, yeah, we're getting better as the games progress. I think the games are going to slow down for the young guys. They're going to get more comfortable and communicate better. And I think we're going to get better. I really do.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think at the end of this, all that trash talking that a lot of people are doing about this defense are going to have to owe some people an apology on this defense, because you're right. I mean, right now, these first 4 games is kind of like our preseason. They're going to learn, they're going to work these kinks out. We saw a little bit more of strategic blitzing in this game in week 3 than we have so far in week 1 and week 2. And I'm looking forward to what we're going to see against teams like Seattle, like Arizona, like San Francisco, and everyone else out there on our schedule going forward. But you know what, Chris? Before we move on, actually, we do need to move on. We do need to move on to something that I feel it's important that I do. And you'd called me out prior to the show and said that you need to be a man and you need to do this. And I'd like for you to tell everybody what you called me out on and what I am now prepared to do live on this show, both television and audio radio.
Yeah, Sam, I think it's very important. Men, right? Guys, no emotions. We're men. We don't say sorry. We don't say thank you or please. We go and take it, right? We're dudes. We don't admit we're wrong. But I think that needs to change today. That needs to change right here on Perfectville podcast, National Podcast Day, right? We're the pod fathers. You said it, Sam. We're held to a higher standard, sir. And I'm sorry. That's what you should be saying. That's right.
That's
Parker,
right.
Williams, these guys you've been shitting on, I think they listened to the show, my friend, because you've really, really turned on some gems on these guys, and you need to apologize.
Well, and it's not just you, Chris, and you are correct. We're calling this segment I'm Sorry. And it wasn't just you. There were people on Twitter calling me out, calling me, Sam Marcoux from Perfectville, out, saying you need to apologize to some of these players that you have just been trashing on your show week in and week out. Now, I looked at this, Chris, and I thought I was motivating these guys. They weren't playing well. And then I said some shit, and all of a sudden they're playing well. But other people don't feel that way. And you know what? I have to be a man, like you said, and accept the fact that I might have been possibly a little bit mistaken with some of my takes in recent weeks here on Perfectville. So I'm not going to apologize to all these players because they all have not deserved it. But I am going to start with one, because every journey starts with a single step here, Chris. So this one is an apology letter to Devontae Parker. And I wrote this out in pencil with my hands, not typing, not texting, not voice to text. I wrote this, Chris. So I'm going to read it right now. Dear Devontae Parker, I am writing you today to say that I am sorry. A few weeks ago on this very show, welcome to Perfectville, I mistakenly called you soft. I'd had a lot to drink that day, and additionally, my dog had broken up with me. I love that dog. Golden Retriever. Anyway, I was distraught. The combination of sadness and drinking made me irrational, and I mistakenly mistook you for that softest Charmin teammate of yours, Preston Williams. Yes, I think the vision was blurred, and I thought that the number 11 was number 18. I guess that's what happened. I'm not quite sure. Anyway, I'm a big fan. I am. I'm a huge fan. I can't even tell you how often I find myself defending your honor off air when Chris Cullen trashes you and verbally attacks you over and over and over again. Anyway, I'm sorry, and I'm sorry for Chris. Hope you can come on the show soon. Love, Sam from Perfectville.
How dare you?
Well, there you go, Chris. I did it. I feel good. I feel like a weight has been lifted off my shoulders. I feel like a bush has been shaved off my balls thanks to Manscaped. That you were right. That was cathartic. I'm really glad I did that. You know what, Chris? You should do that. Maybe sometime in the future, you should write an apology letter to one of these players for all the bad things and nonsense that you have said about them. What do you think about that?
I apologize to the fans of Perfectville that they've had to watch this whole episode and you still have that goddamn mustache.
Well, there you have it. I've made
when people shovel, they go like this, they shovel. And like, if you walk behind them, that dirt and shit goes on that person. You just did that to me. Devontae, hey, buddy, number 11, Unc, been a fan the whole time. Don't listen to this guy. He's a liar.
I don't know, Uncle Devontae Parker. I'm pretty sure he considers you a distant cousin whenever you play. But that's for us to figure out later there, Chris. The point is, I have apologized. I have made amends for my bad mistake when it comes to Devontae Parker. Devontae Parker is not soft. Devontae Parker, actually, since I said that, has come out and said, yes, I have a hamstring injury, Chris, but I am not missing any games. That's what he said. He literally came out and said, I don't give a shit how injured I am. I'm not losing or missing any time, which, quite frankly, is the hardest thing you could possibly do because he's out there limping. You could tell he's not the guy that he, normally is at 100%, but he is grinding through it. And he's getting 50 yards every single game on average over like the last 20 games straight. So I take it back. I was wrong. Devontae Parker, hard as a rock.
Parker's that famous Greg Jennings Madden clip on YouTube where he like literally breaks his leg in the middle of the play and puts the team on his back, bro. That is what Devontae Parker is right now. He's our Greg Jennings. So, you better apologize to that man. You call him soft to Charmin again, he'll be wiping the floor with you.
He'll be wiping his ass with his toilet paper of me. But, yeah, you're right. I mean, I feel bad at sometimes. Like, he's out there hurting, and I wonder if, like, he hears this, like, the nonsense that I've been saying, and he's just like, I want to come out. I need to come out. My leg is killing me.
Flores is like, hey, Parker, relax. We're winning by a lot. No, fuck Sam Marcoux. I'm going on the field. Put me in, coach. And he's just buckling up. Like, he's just, like, has to go in there to prove you wrong.
I hope that is happening. That would be awesome if I was actually, basically in the game with him. And I would be like his spotter, like, come on, let's do this, Devontae. Let's get in the touchdown end zone with your number 11 touchdown. That's right, baby. Those are uprights. That's not a number 11 on Devontae Parker's chest and back. Those are uprights for all the touchdowns he's going to get come week 4 against the Seattle Seahawks, which we're going to get into, Chris. We're going to talk about all things Seattle, all things Miami. How can Miami possibly win this game? What can we do? What can we expose when you talk about the Seattle Seahawks defense? We're going to do that right after these words.
Right at this moment, there are men everywhere, doing manly things. Beards unkempt, hair run amok, leaving them in a state of hair despair. And that's just what we can see. Never mind what's going on downstairs. But it doesn't have to be that way. Thanks to our friends at Manscaped. Go to manscaped.com and enter our promo code FINSUP to save an instant 20%, get free shipping, and help quell the hair despair in your life. These bearded bros are counting on you. Won't you help them?
And we're back. I hope you're back. Hopefully you're running to your headphones right now, putting them in and listening to the back half of Welcome to Perfectville, now part of the Fanatics Network. You can watch us on iTunes. You can watch us on Spotify. You can see, well, you can't watch us on iTunes, but you can actually listen to us when it gets to Apple Podcasts. But you can actually watch us here on YouTube as part of the Fanatics Network. Chris Cullen, Sam Marcoux. We talked about the Jacksonville game, Chris. We talked about those awful things I said about Devontae Parker and how I take them all back. But now we need to talk about week 4. That's right, week 4. And it's the Miami Dolphins at home again, not leaving the state of Florida anytime soon. But they're up against a very, very tough opponent here, Chris. And they're up against another mobile, hard-throwing, just fantastic quarterback. And, of course, I'm talking about the Seattle Seahawks and Russell Wilson, quite possibly, arguably, the best quarterback in the league. I think Patrick Mahomes may have something to say about that. But if he's not number 1, he is number 2. What are your thoughts? How does the Miami Dolphins overcome, or how do the Miami Dolphins overcome Russell Wilson and the Seattle Seahawks? So let's start on defense here, Chris. How does the Miami Dolphins attack this Seattle defense?
Oh, man, easy, right? Yeah, that's a good one. How do you do what no one can do in the NFL, Chris? But have at it. You got the green light. He's been amazing. He's been unbelievable. Watching Seattle play the Cowboys and just what he's able to do. Tyler Lockett is unbelievable. Like, he's just ridiculous and small and fast and catches everything. Sam, we were just talking last segment about how young our defense is and untested we are, and it shows based on the games against Josh Allen and Cam Newton. Sam, this is going to be a tough one. I mean, if I was defending Russell Wilson as a defensive coordinator right now for this week, preparing for him, it's all about getting to him. You have to get to him. You have to show him looks and coverages that might confuse him. You cannot give him time in the pocket. You have to absolutely contain, because when he is at his best is when a play breaks down and he goes to the outside and he's throwing that thing deep. He's finding somebody to beat coverage. He's finding DK Metcalf. He's finding Tyler Lockett. And even like a guy like Greg Olsen was like his safety net at the end of that game there where they went on a drive. So the only saving grace I can think of is that they've been in shootouts every few weeks. So there's something on their defense that I'm sure you're going to get into here. But defensively for us, it's if you have any opportunity to get a turnover, you can't drop a pick. You can't let a fumble roll out of bounds. You have to take every opportunity possible, and you have to keep Russell Wilson, #let Russ cook. I saw the cool thing on that today. He's a little chef in the kitchen. He does nothing wrong. You keep him off the field. You keep him off the goddamn field. If he's on the field, he's going to beat you. You keep him on the sideline wearing a cool Titleist hat, he can't hurt you. You keep him off the field. And Sam, you're going to probably explain how we do that.
Well, you're absolutely right. And I actually, if you haven't checked it out already, check out the latest episode of the Strip Sack. That is our comic strip here that we've developed. And there are some things that Russell Wilson does do wrong in the kitchen, like perhaps maybe try to throw a towel to his wife as opposed to hand it to her when he's 3 feet away from her and possibly getting intercepted of that kitchen towel by Malcolm Butler, who happens to be everywhere Russell Wilson tries to throw the ball, or a kitchen towel. But that aside, the best offense or the best defense here is going to be offense. That's it. That's you. I think you nailed it. The only way the Miami Dolphins stop Russell Wilson is, well, there's 2 ways. Number 1, which we're going to talk about, is to keep him off the field, right? Don't let him have the ball. And number 2 is if somehow, some way, because they are flying from Seattle to Miami. It is the longest flight in the NFL, and it is an early game, and it is going to be hot and sweltering, and we're going to be in our all whites. I hope we paint the locker room pink. I hope we do all of these things, every dirty-handed tactic we possibly can to beat them. And if none of that works, I hope and pray that Russell Wilson somehow misses the team flight. That's how we're going to beat these guys, is that Russell Wilson cannot play. Maybe he gets confused with Chris Carson and he goes to the hospital and Chris Carson tries to play, quarterback after that cheap hit. I don't know. But here's what I think we can do. The only realistic shot that we have here is to go into shootout mode. You need to basically tell Ryan Fitzpatrick, it's Sandlot football time, baby. You got Devontae Parker over here. You got Preston Williams over here. We're going to make sure Jakeem Grant is on the sideline so he can't fuck anything up. And you got Mike Gesicki in the middle. Go deep, go often, do it again, do it again, do it again. Because the Seattle Seahawks have given up more yards through 3 games this season than any other defense in the history of the NFL. Now, that seems hard to imagine because Seattle is known for the Legion of Boom and everything that they're doing, but they're not good defending the pass. Well, guess what Miami is good at? Throwing the damn ball. That's our best offense right there, is we're just going to have to embrace it. Our strength counters their weakness, and we're going to have to just expose it as often and early as we can. The problem with that, Chris, the problem I see with that is when you're throwing the ball all the time, you're not doing ball control. Right? It's quick strike offense. You're getting high scores. You're giving them the opportunity. You're giving Russell Wilson the opportunity to counter whatever it is you do. And if you don't play perfectly, then all of a sudden it snowballs out of control here. So somehow, some way, we're going to have to play ball control pass offense. And I don't know what that means, because I really don't. But that's the only way, is that we have to attack them early, because they haven't proven that they can stop it yet. And that's what we're good at, is throwing the ball down the field. So I think that's what we're going to have to do and take our chances. But that's really the only thing I see, the only crack, the only chink in the armor of the Seattle Seahawks is their pass defense.
Yeah, Dak Prescott put over 400 yards passing on these guys. I don't know how much of this we're going to see from our guys. But
for those that are just listening, he's got a Dolphins defense sign right there. So you're missing all of this wonderful content if you're not watching us on YouTube right now.
Yeah, absolutely. You're missing out. And now I can't decorate with one hand. Here we go. All right, we're back at it, back in the saddle. Listen here, yeah, it's going to be a shootout, Sam. That's going to be the only way we win this game. We're not going to not give up points to Russell Wilson and Seattle's offense, so we're going to have to score too. And when we score, we're going to have to score touchdowns, not field goals.
Yep.
3 points doesn't beat Seattle. The only saving grace we have, you mentioned it, they're traveling from the West Coast to the East Coast. They're basically playing at 10 a.m. for them, and it's going to be hot, and they're going to be in dark uniforms, and that's about it. There's rain in the forecast. Maybe that'll help. Maybe Poseidon will throw a tsunami on the field and make a slushy, and they have to run, and Chris Carson's out. That's the saving grace. But enough ridiculous predictions, Sam. Russell Wilson's been incredible this season. He's been unreal in these first 3 games. And then, honestly, we're mentioning them flying across the country and how much of an advantage that is. I think they're 10-0. Their last 10 East Coast games, even counting playoffs. So based on what I saw, so there's little hope.
It's, aren't the Rockies in the baseball playoffs as well? Wasn't Russell Wilson drafted by the Rockies? Can he go pitch a game on Sunday for the Rockies or something instead of show up for Seattle? They'll be fine without you. They've got, Warren Moon somewhere running around there for the Seattle Seahawks. This is going to be a tough one here, Chris. I hesitate to ask for your prediction. However, there's another kernel of hope here. My daughter, my beautiful 7-year-old daughter, who predicted week 3 Jacksonville Miami score of 31-10. She almost nailed it, Chris. In fact, after that game, I had people calling me going, "Hey, who's your daughter like for the Niner game and the Raider game?" I'm like, "Are you taking gambling advice from a 7-year-old? It's just as good as anybody else."
Gun.
With the fart gun. She actually predicted here, Chris, week 4, if you haven't seen it already, she predicted a Miami Dolphins victory against the Seattle Seahawks, and it's a 20-10 defensive showdown, according to my daughter. So I don't know. She might be onto something, or she might have just lucked her way into something, because that sounds like a stupid prediction if you ask me. But that's what she has, and we'll see how she does. What is your prediction for this game? Seattle traveling to Miami to play the Miami Dolphins at home.
If we give up 10 or less points to the Seattle Seahawks, I'll eat the flag behind you. The entire thing. Like, I just fold it up, eat it. Not the Perfectville one. That's too good.
Yeah.
The Dolphins one. That's being eaten, consumed completely if we give up 10 or less points. But who am I to argue with Chloe? She's been fantastic. So I don't know. My prediction, I'm looking right now, Sam, and I'll take a picture of this and tweet it so there's some context. But I'm looking at a list of all of our Hall of Fame inductees. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to actually take 2 numbers from that list and put them together, and that's going to be my score. That's actually good. That's off the cusp. So I'm looking at my sweet golden tea set across the room there, all the way over. And of our Hall of Fame, we got Jason Taylor, we got Dan Marino, we got Bonacotti, we've got Little, Greasy, Zonka, Warfield. Oh, Sam, I got it. Look, I'm normally I'm very, very normally a suspicious guy. I like suspicions, right? I believe in them. I trust in them. I touch a fucking sign when I come into my man cave because I have to do it, or else we'll lose. And I picked us to lose last week, and we won. So I'm sitting here now, and I'm like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to pick us to lose, so that way I can't say it was me. No, wrong. I'm picking us to win. I am going Miami Dolphins, Paul Warfield, 42.
Wow.
to Larry Zonka 39
39
to beat the Seattle Seahawks. And I swear to God, if this comes true, they better give me a fucking honorary jacket because that is incredible. It's happening. 42-39.
The superstitious Christopher Cullen going with what he sees in front of him, which is a 42 Paul Warfield against a 39 Larry Zonka in favor of your Miami Dolphins. If it's a 42-39 shutout, that's going to be a fun game for everybody to watch come Sunday. I'm not as optimistic as you. I actually picked us to win against Jacksonville, but I think I said it was going to be a field goal fest of 18-12. It was not that. It was anything but that. But Seattle is just on another level, man. Russell Wilson is just somehow still undervalued and underrated. And I don't even know how that's possible.
Ridiculous.
I mean, we're sitting here, sucking his asshole the entire time on this show, and we're not even a Seattle Seahawks podcast, but that's how good this man is. And he makes people like Tyler Lockett pretend to be good. Like, Tyler Lockett's not good. Tyler Lockett should be basically selling me shoes at a Payless Shoe Source right now. But he's got Russell Wilson throwing him the ball, and all of a sudden he looks like a freaking Hall of Famer. That's how good Russell Wilson is. So short of Russell Wilson getting injured, which I am not wishing on, I don't want anything like that to happen. We limit ourselves to cutting babies in half, ladies and gentlemen. We don't want professional.
We have standards.
Yes, we have standards here. Welcome to Perfectville. But short of Russell Wilson getting hurt or somehow getting suspended or getting a tangle in his beautiful curly locks before the game and not being able to perform, I don't see how Miami pulls this out. We aren't going to have Byron Jones. Xavier Howard is still hobbled. Noah Igbenogany still is trying to figure out how to play cornerback in this league. We are in a prime spot to be waxed when it comes to Russell Wilson running the ball, Russell Wilson throwing the ball, and the Seattle Seahawks walking out of Miami victors once again. I see this just going the other way. I think we're going to somehow in the third quarter make this more of a game than it probably should be, and maybe we'll have a late score late. There you go, to maybe close that gap a little bit. But I see this going 45-28 Seattle Seahawks over your Miami Dolphins. 45-28, Chris. That's what I see.
God, you don't even have the respect to use a Hall of Famer's number. You could at least went like Dwight Stevenson and Dan Marino, 57-13.
I mean, I could have gone the other way and said Seattle's going to win 99-13. So we have Jason Taylor against Dan Marino if you really want my real true feelings about this game. But you know what? Even if you lose to Seattle, this is the thing. I keep reminding myself that this is year 2 of probably a 3 to 4 year plan. We have one of the most difficult schedules as it pertains to quarterbacks and teams this season. But if you look at after this game, you've got the 49ers who are hurting. And then you've got, again, the Jets twice, who may have a new head coach by the time we face them later on in the season. There is hope here. The Miami Dolphins are actually doing much better than I think people are even giving them credit for. So even though we're 1-2 and we're possibly going to go to 1-3, we're losing to New England Patriots, who have only lost to one team, and that's the Seattle Seahawks, the Buffalo Bills, who have not lost at all, thanks to the refs, and of course the Seattle Seahawks. And guess what? We kept the game close with Buffalo, and we were closer to New England than we've ever been before. Those two things combined with our beating the crap out of Jacksonville Jaguars leads me to believe that we're on the right track here. Even if we aren't going to win this game, it's not the end of the world. Even if we go 1-3 here, ladies and gentlemen, are we going to make the playoffs? Probably not. But losing to Seattle, there's no shame in our game if we keep this close and respectable.
Oh, absolutely. I can't agree with you more. Like going into the season, we knew we still have, this is year 2 of really a 3-year kind of project. Next year, we still have 2 first-round picks and 2 second-round picks.
Yep.
So, and then, of course, more cap space for free agents. So it's just that culture you're building. You're getting these guys to buy in. You're wanting guys to understand that we're on the right track. Fans understand we're on the right track. Chris Greer, obviously, based on our last conversation about our draft picks, is doing what he needs to do and doing it well. So, yeah, this is not a thing where we're supposed to win 11 games this year, and it's going to be disappointing if we lose to the goddamn Seattle Seahawks. And Buffalo's just playing out of their fucking mind right now, and literally we lost by 3 points, and we were leading in the 4th. So there is a light at the end of this tunnel. We were expecting the Jacksonville game, us to probably play like Jacksonville, and we actually played like we expected before the season. And that's good. That means Flores had them on a short week, national TV game, on the road, and with fans in the crowd. And we came out and just played like you haven't seen yet this season. So that means we're projecting the right way. It's all about that this episode. We're trending up, and that's what you want for this young team. That's what you want from Brian Flores, and that's what you like to see from Chris Greer and Stephen Ross. And honestly, if we are even competitive against Seattle, honestly, like really, I know I picked us to win, but if we're competitive in this game and we got some bright spots, and even if we can scare them a little bit, that's going to be a hell of a takeaway. And then going into an injury-riddled 49ers team and then an injury-riddled Denver Broncos team, we have plenty of opportunities there to sneak some wins on the board.
Absolutely. It wouldn't surprise me if we were 3-3 after 6 weeks of play here, because the Miami Dolphins look like they're ready to beat the teams that they're supposed to beat and compete with the teams that are supposed to beat them. And right now, that's exactly where we're supposed to be. Speaking of teams that are 1-2 and on the rise here, Chris, I would be remiss if I did not bring up the okayest fantasy league ever, because finally redemption has reared its beautiful, beautiful head here, Chris. I win. I've been scoring like crazy, but not winning. But I finally dropped 190 points in fantasy this week here, Chris. And I finally came out the victor. Highest score of the season so far this year. Give it up for one in the pink, Tua in the stink. I'm now 1-2. And you yourself held on just at the end there.
And
are now 3-0 in the okayest fantasy league ever. What's Race have to say about that, bitch?
Yeah, motherfucker. We're both victorious on Perfectville, and I did hang on. I had Baltimore's defense. And I spoke too soon, and that's where I was there again. Superstitious, easy for me to say, in the chat where I came out and said 3-0 boys, and someone's like, Baltimore can get negative points, right? And I'm like, oh shit, they really can. I was only up like 9, I think, and you're playing against Patrick Mahomes. And so I'm like, oh man. And thank God they had a kickoff return for a touchdown. I think that saved me. Maybe feel a little bit easier that Monday night game. But yeah, close one, but 3-0, baby. And Sam, breaking news. Actually, it's like perfect this happened. I'm about to shut down a trade live on the show that just literally came through. My phone vibrated. I just got a trade, and this is fantastic. Michael Scott Paper Company, which is amazing fantasy name, by the way, fantastic. Because that's not even the Dunder Mifflin. That's the one that Michael started, and it was like downstairs.
It's a deep cut. It's a deep cut for sure.
Fantastic. Sam, he wants Alvin Kamara. Okay.
Is this Cody? This is Cody's team, right?
He wants Alvin Kamara, who just got me 44 points in 1 week. In the first week, 44 points, Sam. And here's the proposal, okay? Rookie used 3 times a game, J.K. Dobbins, who I like. I think he's good. But he's projected to get me a kicker's 6.6 points this week if I were to accept that trade. Always injured and never as good as he's supposed to be, Joe Mixon for the Bengals, who respectable 16 points projected against Jacksonville of all teams. So that's probably why that's inflated. And then a receiver that could be on any team, Darius Slayton, who I've probably signed on the waiver wire yesterday, and he just signed to kind of add some meat to that for Alvin Kamara. Sam, Perfectville, Michael Scott's Paper Company. No. Decline. That's done. I mean, that's not happening.
His name is Chris Cullen, not Bill O'Brien, ladies and gentlemen. He's not making that.
What do you think I am?
Yeah, I mean,
the nose ring. Jesus Christ, it's not happening.
No, that's not going to happen. And you know what? You hang on to that guy. And you're absolutely right about the negative points here with the Baltimore defense. Not to make this into a fantasy show, but I was watching that game. The Baltimore defense only got 1 point positive in terms of fantasy football. And they actually had a kick return for a touchdown. So that's how bad that defense was. That's how good Patrick Mahomes is. So stay tuned, Miami Dolphins fans, because we have him coming up later this season. But we'll deal with that another time. We got to figure out how to beat Russell Wilson and the Seattle Seahawks. That's what this is all about right here. That's what this show's about. That's what this whole entire thing is about, ladies and gentlemen. And it's almost time for us to go, because I got to go take off my Dolphins hat and go put on a Lakers hat. You got to go put on a Miami Heat hat there, Chris. Good luck to your team, but not too much luck. Hopefully this doesn't end our friendship and just sever the town of Perfectville into East and West. I would hate for that to happen. We now have separate podcasts and everything else going on. We'll get through it one way or the other. Let's just promise to be best friends forever, even when the Lakers win. Can we promise that?
Sure. I'll make a promise that I don't even have to worry about trying to keep. Absolutely. Heat and 6, bitch.
Well, wow, just throwing the bitch out there at the end. That was hurtful.
Show's over. It's basketball time now, man.
You're gonna have to write me an apology letter. I want an apology letter in 2 weeks for the bitch comment. That's what I want. But until then, and until next week when we meet again, check out everything on social media, Twitter. Make sure you follow the Miami Dolphins this week. They're going to have some fun stuff. Something tells me they're going to have some fun stuff coming out on Friday. I'll just leave it at that. And until then, goodbye from Perfectville.
Later.
Sweet.